All right, welcome back. Welcome to another amazing wrestling show. I hope you guys are as glad to see me as much as I am so glad to see you guys. It's a huge week of wrestling. Got to be honest. This show is going to be honestly probably one of the biggest shows I've ever done. First, we're going to talk about our WWE Smackdown preview, but before we get into that, I was watching a little bit of Impact Wrestling via YouTube clips and stuff like that, and I gotta realize that I'm totally missing out. I'm definitely missing out on some Impact Wrestling. There's no doubt in my mind that I'm going to most likely get Access TV, and I don't know. I'm gonna be, I'm gonna jump right on into it because I don't know. For some strange reason, I kind of think of, of course you have WWE, but at the same time, you kind of have these other wrestling circuits that you're like, you really didn't really know much about. And the moment you actually pay attention, the moment you kind of, because week after week after week, and although I'm just watching clips of these guys and talking about them on Thursday and Friday nights, I'm kind of getting attached to these superstars. Like, I really honestly, I'm a huge wrestling fan, and I just see a lot of potential in Impact Wrestling Ring of Honor. Now you have the National Wrestling Alliance, so well, yeah, no, just the first, kind of thought there to kind of kick this off. Eric having an epiphany as the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast host. Thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We have a great show for you today lined up. We have a WWE Raw preview. We're also going to talk about our Thursday Night Wrestling review. And then we're going to jump into some AEW Double or Nothing predictions and analysis. And then after that, we're also going to talk about WWE's King and Queen of the Ring. We're going to talk about prediction and analysis as well. Fifth and final segment on every Friday night, just like you guys already know. I have my wrestling news roundup. I'm just going to give you guys a couple of cool wrestling news articles that's been kind of going viral in terms of the professional wrestling world that, kind of want to discuss, kind of think about, and kind of ponder around, just in case if you're at a party and someone asks you, hey, you like pro wrestling? And be like, oh, yeah, I remember Eric talking about this. Like, kind of like just a way to kind of spark conversation. You can never ever have, there's no such thing as too much knowledge. So, I'm here to give you some of that, some of that wrestling knowledge. So, but before we dive in deeper on any subject, either segment, I want to remind you guys that we get a bunch of questions that come in from viewers like you during the show. So, to ensure that your question gets read on air in front of millions of people, remember to use the tips and donations link at the GSMCpodcast.net. Give me your questions, your statements, what you want to see, what you want to hear. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. It's This podcast is just as much as it's just as much as yours as it is mine. So I'm only here to please you guys. I want to please you guys. Let me please you guys. I'm just kidding. No, move on. Let's move on before I get too passionate about pleasing you guys. But moving on forward, it really does help the show, guys. Here at the GSMC Sports Network, we love peace, love, and positivity. So leave a positive review, only positive stuff, just keeps the world going around. Generosity, it's going to keep the world go round and round and round. Definitely, one act of kindness can truly change the world. One small little like and subscribe. And hey, Eric, you're doing pretty good, bro. Your hair's getting a little long, and your shirt's too great. I'm just kidding, no. But again, is the link is at the GSMC podcast.net. So yeah, go ahead and shoot some questions, some statements. Give me a shout out of what state or city you're listening from, or even country. Oh my God, that'd be so crazy if this was international. Yeah. So let's go and jump right on into our first segment. We're going to talk about our WWE SmackDown preview. Obviously, this episode of SmackDown is taking place in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, so it's been taped. It's not necessarily live, but it's live on my on the West Coast on YouTube TV right now. Can't wait to watch it. Can't wait to kind of get that last little kind of that last little punch in before we start at Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, King and Queen of the Ring, which honestly I kind of get the feeling that WWE needs to really make this pay-per-view like pop. Because for the longest time, and I know just from my perspective, during the Vince McMahon era, a lot of crown jewels and a lot of, the greatest main event ever, the greatest Royal Rumble or whatever it was called, it kind of fell wayside. It kind of did not get that great of, of audience or fan reaction, favorable reactions. And I just think Paul Levesque is really going to take this personal. And I feel like he's going to do whatever he can to ensure that this is going to be the best damn show that you've ever seen in your whole entire life in terms of, Saudi Arabia and stuff like that. Because if you look at the match card, and we are going to preview the match card, there's only 4 or 5 matches. So these matches are going to be huge. Definitely, definitely, and definitely. So, we're going to jump right into that. But first, let's talk about SmackDown. One stop before WWE King and Queen of the Ring. So we have Randy Orton against Tama Tonga. After what happened on last week on Raw, I really thought Jey Uso was going to probably get the best of Gunther, because Gunther at first kind of reminded me of I thought for sure he was going to jump into the King of the Ring eventually. But then you kind of had Tama Tonga move on to face Randy Orton. And the moment that happened, I kind of thought to myself, I was like, wait, is there a way Jey Uso and Tama Tonga could fight each other without being on the same show? Kind of having a foreshadow, a little, pre-flame for a Bloodline Civil War kind of a storyline. So I kind of thought that was going to happen, but ultimately that did not happen. You saw Gunther move on. So now I kind of have confidence to say I think Randy Orton's going to get the win, because for me, I feel like there's no real animosity, or there's no real point of Tama Tonga. Not real point, because obviously winning the King of the Ring would do wonders for Tama Tonga and the Bloodline. Their status in the WWE, their out, their perspective, what people look at him as. But I don't know. I think Gunther's going to be in the finals. If Gunther fights against Tama Tonga, I feel like it's just going to be an ass whooping. You need the Randy Orton. You need the RKO. The three most feared letters in the professional wrestling industry is RKO, the Viper, the Legend Killer, against Gunther. Although Randy Orton has been portrayed as hurt, I don't know if it's kayfabe. Obviously, I wish well upon any wrestlers that jump inside the square circle on any organization. But right now, I feel like it's kind of important to kind of have Randy and Gunther go at it, especially with what Triple H said about from now on, the King and Queen of the Ring winners will have a title shot heading towards SummerSlam. So, obviously, I'm not trying to say this just to kind of prove my prediction right about SummerSlam, about Gunther, taking on Cody Rhodes. I think this is more or less. I feel like Randy Orton, that's an accomplishment that has not had. The King of the Ring winner. So there's obviously a lot on the line for the Legend Killer. He's not going to take this by the wayside. He's not going to take this laying down. It's going to be a great fight. I can anticipate, that match going probably more than, I would say, around the 20-minute mark. But, like I said, we'll jump into it a little more, closer along the edge. But my ultimate prediction is Randy Orton moves on and defeats Tama Tonga. Next, we have the Queen of the Ring qualifying match. We have Bianca Belair, Nia Jax. Bianca Belair has been hinting at her knee being injured for the longest time. Nia Jax is on an absolute rampage, the irresistible force, ever since she made it back to WWE, and ever since Belair's partner, Jade Cargill, eliminated Nia Jax during the Women's Royal Rumble in 2024. It kind of, built up a lot of bad and negative animosity between the two. I'm pretty sure that Nia Jax is absolutely infuriated and she's going to take it out on Bianca. I think there's going to be a point in the match where Bianca might have that shed of light, that shred of hope that this could possibly go her way. But ultimately, you're going to see Nia Jax being the ultimate opportunistic woman, which you should in terms of fighting in terms of WWE. I think even you gotta go after what irks the other, and what Bianca Belair said in a promo last SmackDown, that I say, hey y'all, I'm gonna admit right now that my knee is not at 100%. Kind of giving, not giving an excuse or not giving leeway for Nia Jax to win. I think it's kind of a way for Nia Jax to kind of pick apart her opponent, focus on that knee, and you're gonna see that knee being targeted tonight. So it's gonna be interesting to see, how Jade and Bianca bounce back. But both of them are out of the Queen of the Ring. So maybe perhaps next week on SmackDown, they can set up a women's tag team match. Like I said before, I don't really know how injured Bianca Belair could possibly be, but It's a possibility. It's definitely a possibility but my ultimate prediction on my preview, I feel like Nia Jax makes the most sense here. You kind of have a David versus Goliath story heading toward the WWE Queen of the Ring in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Lyra Valkyria, the ultimate underdog, recently being drafted in the WWE draft by Raw, and you have the veteran Nia Jax, the irresistible force, the dominant, the infuriated, the just massive, powerful powerhouse that is Nia Jax. So it's going to be interesting to see how Lyra Valkyrie, goes against Nia Jax if Nia Jax wins. Like I said before, I have not checked social media, no TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. So I have not seen a single shred of a WWE content in terms of SmackDown. Can't wait to watch it as soon as I get done with this podcast. Of course, you can always shoot chats. Tell me your opinions about, what I'm saying. Please, no spoilers. But, if you have to get it off your chest, like I would appreciate. I'm just kidding. No. But no, it's gonna be a good match. I feel it's good. If I feel like it's gonna be a good match. Next, you see Bailey fight Chelsea Green. Chelsea Green called Bailey super boring, like kind of like Piper Niven and stuff like that. Classic Chelsea Green. Chelsea Green recently coming off of a loss in the WWE NXT for Roxanne Perez's a women's world heavyweight championship. But I like Chelsea Green. She does really good as a heel. Obviously, not really the championship type. I can kind of see her as maybe like a WWE Women's North American champion that could possibly be like maybe in the future for her. But her as a tag team with Piper Niven, she kind of showed signs that her and the other girl from NXT, the girl that is all about shine, and she comes out looking like a queen, and like I don't know, they kind of showed some pretty good chemistry. Like she could definitely tag team up with her, and Piper Niven can make her way into the singles spouts, which would kind of, I feel like that would be bad for Piper Niven in terms of just her overall status in the WWE. It's kind of sad to say, but I feel like the only reason why Niven is kind of relatable and kind of like in the the spotlight of the WWE women's division is because of Chelsea Green. So they want to keep that tag team together. Definitely going to have them fight in the future. But like I said before, I really hope that Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill lose those championships sooner than later, because I feel like ultimately that would open up the women's division, A, B, the women's tag division. I feel like that would be probably the best for WWE moving forward. So right next we have AJ Styles. AJ Styles is going to meet with the general manager Nick Aldis. Last week, AJ Styles kind of had a heart to heart moment. Kind of was like realizing like, look, everything I'm doing right now, it's not causing me success. It's causing me major, major failure. I have not won a good match. He lost against Randy Orton, lost against Cody Rhodes, lost against the LA Knight, and it's starting to eat him up because AJ Styles has been super successful, and kind of thinking about it right now. You think about the title picture, the World Heavyweight and the WWE Undisputed, and there's really no room for AJ Styles right now. There's really no room for AJ Styles, right? Obviously, like you don't want to let him go. You will never ever let AJ Styles sign anywhere else, because I guarantee you, if he signs with AEW, that would be absolutely huge. Probably one of the biggest signings ever since AEW surfaced in 2019. But I think WWE needs to find a way to kind of incorporate an AJ Styles you know, storyline. He's not like any other superstar. He doesn't need a belt. He doesn't need a kick-ass promotion. He's AJ Styles. He's the phenomenal AJ Styles. He just goes out there and builds a promo just with his presence. Like he doesn't have to have a title, and that's something that a lot of WWE creative like, oh, how are we gonna get a title back on AJ Styles? You really honestly don't. You know, maybe you can have him moving forward, like go for a number one contendership, but probably when he went against Cody Rhodes, straight up as Cody Rhodes finished his story at WrestleMania 40, and you had one of the best singles match in wrestling history. Like you have, like I said, kind of mentioned it a couple of podcasts ago, how Will Ospreay was saying how him and Bryan Danielson fighting at Dynasty was one of the best matches, one of the best wrestling matches in the whole entire wrestling industry. And I'm not disputing that fact. It was a good match. It was great. But this match, especially after Will Ospreay, his comments toward Triple H, I feel like this was Triple H's way of kind of like, kind of like just sticking it to him, like, oh yeah, you think you put on the best match? I'm gonna get two of the best guys that I have, AJ Styles and the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. So AJ Styles has a lot of good things headed toward him. Definitely don't think that he's out of gas quite just yet, but I'm excited to kind of find out what Nick Aldis, says to AJ Styles. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. Well, guys, don't go anywhere. We're going to talk about our Thursday night wrestling review, the Ring of Impact, the world of Impact Wrestling and Ring of Honor is exposed. So, hey, don't go anywhere.